Hi, my name is Ron Hurst. I'm running for District 1. I am in favor of Measure I, and one of the reasons that I can say for that is basically what Chris already said earlier. 9,700 people have decided to put it on the ballot. That's 700 less than what it took Mr. Marsh to get elected for mayor 4 years ago. If we just look at the numbers, it speaks for itself pretty much. On the other hand, the reason I agree with Measure I is not necessarily for preserving farmland. The reason I agree with Measure I is because it's going to actually put limits upon the city, and it's going to allow us or force us to actually become a little more resourceful with land that we already have available to us. It's going to force us to look at all the empty buildings that we have and say, okay, how can we reuse this? How can we retool this? What can we put here that other people have been using in other areas around the world? We have to look at other cities, and we have to say, okay, we're going to follow your lead. We're going to look at your model, and we're going to see what we can use best here. Measure I is going to force us to actually come to grips with something that we need to come to grips with, and that's we don't have some scientist coming up to us and saying, I've got a magic pill that I can drop in the ground, and all of a sudden, the ground over on the east side of town is going to be just as good as the ground over on the west side. And until somebody comes up and says they have that pill and we can prove it, I'm going to try and preserve as much farmland as humanly possible. I want to see this town grow up instead of out. And it's about time that we've done that. Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to do this in a 1, 2, 3 fashion. Number one, there's a difference between a minimum wage and a living wage. Minimum wage is what you get paid while you're learning, and for someone who is a non-skilled laborer, that is something that you do when you are in high school or in college and you are just trying to put yourself through and work your way up the ladder. A living wage is something that you make once you have earned it, and it's just that simple to me. Number two, yes, I am very concerned about the amount of jobs that we have in this area, but at the same point in time, I do not believe that it is the government's job to help create jobs. No, that is business's job, that is commerce, and it is the government's job to get out of business's way and to allow them to be able to thrive. And thirdly, yes, this town absolutely wasted one of the greatest moments that it could have had in its history. From 2007 to 2009, I can tell you that personally, I can't even count on, well, obviously everybody's hands up here, how many friends I had come back with either graduate degrees or and other college degrees and other specialized labor certifications that had to come back to Modesto. And you know what happened? Nobody in this town attempted to try and give them a job. It was from 2007 to 2009 when every single one of your friends had their kids coming back to live with them. We had such an intellectual capital, and as well as also such an a workforce that was in such a demand for jobs that we did not try to put them to work. We did not try to come up with anything that could actually have afforded them the ability to stay here and to help grow and build companies here. But we do have a way to actually do that now. A Harvard study from 2009 that was published in the book, The Great Reset by Richard Florida, actually states that most students actually decide where they want to live before they decide what they're going to do for a job. So what we can do here is make Modesto more appealing to people. We can make it a place where they actually want to go. And then the jobs will follow. Thank you. If any of us get elected, we have the ability to speak to the higher-ups. We have the ability to go to the state assembly and to the state senate. And then we have the ability to pressure them in order to deal with any taxation periods or with anything that's going to be coming down the line. But at the exact same point in time, it's not like we can just go ahead and throw out, we can't say that we're not going to enforce all the laws by the state. I mean, unless you really want to try and tick a lot of people off. I mean, that's probably the best that I could say that.
Does anyone else want to?
No, I think
I submit to it.
This is the local level, and we do have to work with our representatives, obviously, and make sure that if there is some help, that whatever is going on, if there's some way that they could help us, that's a positive thing.
All right, let's do that. Actually, I don't even think I need the microphone. I think I can talk loud enough. I I will admit to that, knowing absolutely nothing about Agenda 21. Could somebody please tell me what it actually is for? I have not had a chance to look on GovTrack as much lately as I would like. If you can say it to me, I can give you a brief
We'll tell
explanation.
you after everybody talks.
Can any of the other candidates make it?
It's not something that we've been having.
I'll second that motion down there.
All I know about Agenda 21 has something to do with the UN and its attempt to take away national rights.
Meet with me afterwards, and I'll explain.
Fair enough.
Agenda 21 has been since the first Bush administration.
Gotcha.
Actually, Agenda 21's been around since 1930.
Oh.
Okay,
World control.
One world government, some people want it. I think it will, I think.
There is one more government.
That's part of it.
okay, you're getting it.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know it was called Agenda 21, really honest with you on that. But as far as I'm concerned, if there's a one world government, then that's gonna make the Olympics suck. I mean, there's gotta be some form of nationalism that makes it fun. I mean, it
You
can't
know
just be
that
like,
Agenda 21 is in your town right now?
There's
Under Stan Paul, Lapco, they're Agenda
Absolutely.
21. So meet us afterwards and we'll discuss.
Okay,
would love to learn more about it.
starting with Ron again. Section 6 of the California State Constitution says,
No.
any takers,
English is the language of California.
is that where it is?
Yeah.
Very
and
good. Thank you.
Everything is to only be printed in
Even a
English.
blind pig comes across an acorn once.
See, I knew that was in the Constitution. I did not know that.
I think we should put that on the arch instead of water, wealth, contentment, health.
This one is limited to just the mayors. How do you feel about that?
Or if you want to start over there and pass it down.
Well, you know, when you asked the question, I was slightly offended. It was sort of like, you know, are we gonna let these people in here? And, you know, are they gonna take over our city? This is the kind of stuff that goes on in the rumor mill. I think Mr. Gunderson has put it succinctly. You've got a community that is saying, in effect, we want to bring our families, we want to bring our people here with us so we can take care of them. I don't see where that is a tremendous burden on this city or this company. In fact, given what the Assyrian community has done in this county, more of them would be a plus. So, yeah, I hope it's just not a vicious rumor, because Mr. Gunderson has explained the backstory.
If I could clarify now, somebody said the Assyrians, but I believe the question was on Syrian refugees. But you can feel free to talk about all of them.
My understanding, the bulk of them will be Christian Assyrians.
I think it's perfectly fine for us to be bringing in Syrian refugees as from the displacement. I, number one, as being raised in the church and being raised by the son of a preacher, I will never turn down anyone that comes to me and asks me for aid, and I would be ashamed of anybody else that is willing to do so. If these are people that are willing to come in, that have been displaced, who were contributing members to the society in which that they are now no longer a part of, and they want to come here and they want to create a life and they want to create a job, as far as I'm concerned, that is actually them having the American spirit and the American dream inside of them, and they are incarnate of it. And now, as far as I'm concerned with the other question, with it being specifically from Syria, and with the fact that it's the Assyrian community, it's the fact that actually Assyria, or Assyrians, it's not a country. Assyria is not a country, it was a region. It was that encompassed multiple different countries, from Syria, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, you know, all the way over into Jordan, you know, into the southern part of Turkey. It's basic. Why am I having a brain problem? I was gonna say, it's a group of people. It's a group of people that have the same beliefs and are of the same lineage. And that's what that is. It is not, just the fact that they just happen to be from one specific country should have absolutely nothing to do with it. These are going to be good people. These are going to be people that are going to be thankful for the fact that we allowed them to come in here. And so that's actually going to make them more endeared to our community. And that's going to make them try that much harder to become like us or to Americanize themselves. Yeah, you might have the one or two that are going to be a little ticked off that things aren't the same, but oh well, it's always going to be that way. But at the same point in time, no, I think we should accept them with open arms. And this is also coming from me being the son of an immigrant as well. And my family came here the right way. Spent 2 months on a boat to get here in 1959. So my grandfather could come to America and go to seminary, become a minister. And then they came out to Modesto in 1966 when he got called to be the minister at Mays Boulevard Church.
I second that, as long as they fill out the correct paperwork and become legal citizens.
We're a country of immigrants, and anyone who wants to come here for a better life, for whatever reason they did, all of our ancestors did, they were leaving persecution from someone place else. If they're going to be bad people, we have bad people that were born and raised here. We need people that will take on our beliefs of the American dream.
Being the son of a legal immigrant, I guess that means I'm gonna obviously say, yes, I believe that everyone should come through the legal way. That is something that my dad is very adamant about, and something that he raised me to be very adamant about. My dad almost got deported when he was 14, because when he came over, my dad was 3 years old. But they gave him this, but he had to keep the same green card the entire time, so they tried telling him that it wasn't the same picture, so it wasn't him. He kept trying to tell him, no, it's just a picture of me when I'm 3. You can't kick me out for that. Not to mention also then his naturalization photo, he had a permanent, and it's absolutely horrible. So, as far as immigration reform is concerned, it needs to happen, it needs to be done. My thing about deporting 12 million people, that's just not going to be cost effective. That's just going to be way too much of a burden on our federal government that our tax dollars don't truly need to go to. We can shore up our borders. We can change our stances on how many people are let in from each country, and that's actually one of the main problems for this, is the fact that it's basically almost like a blanket. Each country is almost allowed the exact same amount of people. It should be based off of population density. Because, I mean, if a country only has 800,000 people that even call it home, like the nation of Belize, which is south of Mexico, but they're allowed to have the same amount of immigrants come to America as Mexico would, and Mexico is what, 40, 50 million? That's kind of stupid as far as I'm concerned. And so, yeah, those are my opinions on it. But yeah, I am for legal immigration.
Just
Okay, so I'm basically going to reiterate myself from what I said earlier. There is a book I've read, published by and written by Richard Florida. He is a professor at the Carnegie Mellon Institute in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They did a study of Harvard and Yale graduates, all of which said that their first thought as to where they want to move was based off of whether or not the city could offer them the quality of life that they wanted. And then once they got there, then they would look for a job. So what does this tell us? This tells us that the educated people, the ones that are going to be creating jobs, the ones that are going to become entrepreneurs, the ones that are going to be doing their best to be involved in a community, they're going to go to a place that they want to be, a place that offers them a vibrant nightlife, a place where they have the ability to walk around and meet friends, a place where they can, live, work, and play all in the exact same area. We can do this in Modesto by creating a better quality of life. Because you know what happens with all those big businesses? Well, if they're just a production-based business, they're going to go wherever it's cheaper. Look at Google. Why are they in all the different cities that they're in? Not because that's where they think they're going to find the cheapest talent, but because that is where the talent is. Good companies, the type of companies that we should want here, go where the talent wants to go. The companies actually follow the people. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to be looking at attracting a more educated workforce, or retaining the educated workforce that we can create here through MJC, which is now actually offering 4-year degrees, through Stan State, which has a great business and also teacher's credential program, through UOP. Thank you. I can actually say that this is something I'm actually fully prepared for. This is something I've actually talked to that I mentioned to the chief of police when it was, because in order to get rid of, all right, so if we were to go, to default and go into bankruptcy, we're going to have to find some clever ways in order to be able to actually, deal with all of our problems. In order to get rid of, or to deal with our policing, well, one thing that we could do is we could start giving out a bunch of internships. We could then get all of our cadets out of the actual office, and we can have them walking around town with walkie-talkies. Now, granted, they've only got a walkie-talkie, and they can do no more than you and I can do as far as a citizen's arrest is concerned. But it gives a view of a lot more people on the ground. Basically, because you're going to see them all out in their uniforms. I mean, granted, even if it says cadet on there, it's still going to say City of Modesto, and you're still going to see the badge on it. And even if all you see is just walkie-talkie, you're just going to be like, all right, well, at least we know there's people out here in the area that are keeping an eye on things, and they're going to be able to make a call in. That's something that we could do. That's something that's going to help. That's something that we could do right now. It doesn't even need to be any of us up here. The people that are on the council right now could do that. And as far as nullification is concerned, I mean, the one thing that we could look at for that, in order to actually to take it back to the state, would be against AB 109 and Prop 47. We could actually start just jailing everybody. We could just say, you know what? No, I don't care if it's a nonviolent crime. No, you're staying in jail. But the thing is that it's going to take the cojones of some of us and whoever else is on the council right now in order to be able to say and talk to the police chief and say, you know what, we're going to support you and say we need to keep these people in jail and behind bars. But I'm going to need your support. I'm going to have to go, and then we're going to have to go up to every single one of the county supervisors and say, you know what, we need your support, that you're going to stand behind us, and we're going to need the sheriff's support and say, you know what, we're going to all go together. We need to get, we need to go down and talk to Riverbank, we need to talk to Turlock, we need to talk to Salida. But that's something we can do, but we can't do it without everybody else involved. Thank you.